Hello everyone and welcome to another video with me, Umbra Rays, and you may be wondering, Umbra, why are you still doing Brave X-Face videos? Well, the answer to that is quite simple, is the fact that currently I am waiting for, to try War of the Visions. I've been kind of itching for a tactics game a little bit. Obviously, in terms of like turn-based strategy games, I've been really enjoying Chrono Trigger. When not getting lost in it, and also enjoying just playing Epic 7. Not to mention that there's a veritable cornucopia of Switch games, not Twitch games, but Switch games, although I can play my Switch on Twitch now, thanks to this. You thought, you see, I could have rhymed into one more word there, but I didn't. Ain't classy. Anyway, yeah, I decided to basically go for I'm just kind of waiting for War of the Visions because really I haven't had a tactics game that I can enjoy yet, and I'm still waiting for the SD Gundam games and the Super Robot Wars game for the phone, which still also has kind of just disappeared into the void that is waiting for TGS, because obviously TGS is a good time to announce stuff or get pre-registration started, and so there's a lot there that I'm kind of waiting on. And I can talk about the JP news tonight, and I most definitely will, but I want to talk, too, about the thing that I did not talk about very much, which was the Dragon Quest XI banner. Having chatted now with some JP players who I know are still playing the game, I have a much better insight into that, and I kind of want to talk about, a lot of global people, I think, are always like, oh, what are the odds that this comes to global and changes? Like, there's no way this will come to global. Global's a different game. Well, whether or not this is my last video really depends on just when War of the Visions comes out and when I get bored enough to make another video. So here we are. And to TGS, currently tonight I'm waiting for the new Kingdom Hearts 3 trailer to drop for the DLC. I'm also waiting for Final Fantasy VII this week. There's a lot of stuff Square Enix has at this year's TGS to be excited about. Even though Sony's not doing a press conference, I think there's a good amount of stuff. So before I talk about the eventuality that is global, let's talk about the new collaboration announced. Now, for anybody who's keeping track on the JP side, there's basically been a trillion, million, billion limited banners in one form or another recently. Between the Fest banners, as well as the collaboration banners, as well as just the other Fest banners with the more collaboration banners. It's been a long time since JP has seen a 5-star base unit that is not, that you can actually UOC. And to that extent, the one that comes to my mind, because I really don't pay that much attention anymore, but is Elna, which, by the way, Alan, what happened to those units that you were making? All the 12 weapon trial units that kind of just disappeared. Maybe it's because they're really not anywhere near strong enough. Nobody was interested in that. I don't know. I'm not a mind reader. I just kind of have a hunch that's basically what happened. So yeah, talking about JP has announced a SINoALICE collaboration, and SinnoAlice is kind of a weird thing for me. I did try it when it came out. I found the game horribly uninteresting for me personally. I do like the visual style of it, so while I am going to say that I'm not wasn't just a big fan of the gameplay, I do like the art style. I like the kind of concept of it. For anybody who doesn't know, it's basically like taking these fairy tale characters and turning them into waifus. At least I think that's basically it. It's been a while. But yeah, anyway, it is a collaboration event. It will run from September 11th to September 23rd on the JP side. So obviously this is probably not any kind of announcement. I would expect some big announcements about the 4th anniversary at TGS this week. And 4th anniversary is going to be really make or break for the JP side for a lot of players, by what it sounds like. A lot of players on the JP side are overly frustrated with the amount of best banners, the continuing amount of all of that stuff. So the 4th anniversary will be really make or break. There's also going to be a raffle, but it's for JP residents only, so I wouldn't get super excited about it. For anybody who's playing on the global side, you need a JP residence, and no, I will not provide you with my residence just so you can win stuff. Sorry, gotta draw the line in the sand somewhere. But yeah, there'll also be an item world to go along with this. Kind of reminds me of FF14 event a little while ago, where Y'shtola was there, but oh yeah, Y'shtola was free and this is not. Unique abilities for the SINoALICE gear, specifically like abilities only for that gear, and bonus rate ups for you bringing along SOA units. So there you go. The character bonus, obviously 7 stars give 100%, and everything else gives 50% or lower. Talking about the feature units, they will be time limited, of course. 3% for 5-star featured rates, 1.5 for each. There'll also be SOA select tickets, but anyone knows who's played the JP side recently that select unit tickets are not as good of a deal anymore as they ever used to be. So Alice, TMR two-handed sword, 150 attack with some paralyzed chance. It is two-handed, super TMR. Materia 60% attack with sword up, all ailments and stop immunity on her super TMR. That's very nice for a super TMR. Limit burst is AoE defense ignoring damage, probable, paralyze, and confuse. Damage mods up. She's just basically a DPS. Fire and ice DPS with some imbuing of her elements, fire or ice respectively. Some basically single target damage and reducing to break resistance for her stats, as well as unlocking triple cast into her 7-star. Nothing overly special, but Alice is pretty cute, so there you go. Second character is Snow White. Snow White is on the left, Alice is in the middle. Probably should have said that first, but anyway. TMR for Snow White is a two-handed greatsword. It's actually, I do believe, a scythe, but scythes are great swords, which kind of makes sense, and I guess not. You don't really. Anyway, I'm not going to get into the weapon classing of scythes. That's obviously a discussion for another time. Anyway, so it's 150 attack, 30%. I think just some kind of bonus. Two-handed weapon. When equipped to Snow White, also gives an extra bonus. Super TMR is a 65 attack and magic accessory, which is really nice until you remember that this is a time-limited unit, so either spend or get out, or hope you have a ticket stash. And again, this is probably not the unit that you want to be spending on anyway, given how much more powerful fast units are. Limit burst, AoE damage, defense, and spirit break, self-attack up. She's a thunder and wind attacker, so probably not going to be any synergy between these two units, as they seem to be like different elements and just not great. Respectively, can do some mod up on consecutive uses for attacks, AoE, full break, and thunder, wind imperil. And the last character is a 4 to 6 star because, if it would have been a all 5-star banner, I think it would have been really difficult after the Dragon Quest 11 shit. Gretel is the last character. TMR, a rod with 14 attack, 108 magic. When equipped with Gretel, gives some extra bonuses. She's a 4-star character. 4-star characters are great for the 4-star challenges and nothing else. There will also be some extra daily missions. But let's get right into this. This is just another in a long line of limited step-up banners. And to that extent, I feel like after JP's more recent Dragon Quest 11 banner, a banner that I've been kind of wanting to speak out on for a while, but I haven't because to some extent, like, I've moved past this game. To some extent, I've also just been enjoying other games. To another extent, I've just been busy with real life. And lastly, I guess, it's just... Well, I feel like most people kind of saw the red flags with this banner, but it is to be noted just how bad the Dragon Quest 11 banner was. And this is getting into JP, but if you looked at it, basically to guarantee everything out of this banner, and I'm not talking about high rolls. Yeah, you can get, all the 7 stars. For anybody who... I guess I should back up for a second. Let's talk about how this banner worked. If you wanted the villains, the 2 guys on... well, my left, this side of the screen, as well as the dragon, they were in the rare gacha and in a step-up banner. Okay, if you wanted the Dragon Quest heroes, characters that have not been added to the game previously, like whenever there's been a Dragon Quest collaboration, it's always monsters in the gacha, and I've always been curious as to why they just didn't do heroes. I mean, the heroes are I just don't understand what was always the interest of doing villains. It seems like the heroes were, you know, the thing that most people would want, and Square just hasn't done that with Alum. So I wasn't entirely sure what was going on behind that. And to be fair, I mean, now, again, moved on. But anyway, by doing the step-up banner, you would unlock gold keys. You could also get 1 gold key from the event, which is pretty useless because at worst case scenario, it would just give you a 10% Moogle, and best case scenario, it would give you 1 copy of the 4 heroes, which is obviously not that great because you want to have 2 copies, because as we all know, this is the problem that Brave Exvius has had for a long time. The rates are not as good as they are posted. Yeah, you see, you know, this kind of thing where it's like, wow, 7% or 5% for a rainbow on a banner, but the odds are actually considerably less than that, or actually considerably worse than that if you just consider the fact that, you know, forever now we've just needed 2 copies, and it's gotten worse over time, and this is probably the worst I have ever seen. It is just being this idea of literally 6 rainbows, 6 5-stars, 6 limited 5-stars in a small time period. And yeah, I do consider basically, even to the 20th, that's a lot of rainbows, considering that, you know, there's still the SINoALICE banner, which is more limited. And yeah, you don't need everything. If we're going to just talk about the problem that JP has had for a long time, it's irrelevance of any of these units that have come to the game. A lot of DPS recently on the JP side has been totally irrelevant in the game and not necessary for anybody to pull. That is a good thing. It means that not everybody needs to go on these banners. You can just use, there are a lot of DPS options, although DPS has become kind of more specialized for very specific events, again, kind of necessitating whales, if they want to stay at the top of their game, to do that. And there's also something incredibly insidious about taking a franchise that some people are going to have a very, very strong reaction to, of being super excited about these characters and really wanting these characters, and putting a massive paywall behind it. To clarify for anybody also, you would have to guarantee literally everything, and we're also going to pretend this is the worst case scenario. To get all of the gold keys, to get everything out of this event, super TMRs and all, you have to go through basically the step-up banner roughly, you know, well, max of 5 times. That's 125,000 lapis. For anybody who's wondering, 1,250 lapis is about 8,800 yen, which is roughly, you know, about $88. Well, no, that's probably being too generous. It's roughly, I think, about $88 American, and when you add it up, buying that 10 times, the Dragon Quest banner comes out to roughly about $900 US, and that's incredibly high. Yeah, you get a lot of stuff on the way. Yeah, you get a ton of rainbows, and obviously, you doing the step-up banners, you'll get a lot of rainbows too. But it's really holding the characters that I think a lot of people want back, and you know that there was somebody who spent on this banner and did not get remotely what they wanted and is just out money, possibly with never getting these characters ever again. Now, Square Enix and Alum could definitely redo this banner later on with better rates or easier to get these characters, but you know what? It is that fear of these limited time stuff never coming back, because Alum doesn't really need to ever bring any of this back. They could at any time take any of this stuff and just be like, no, it was limited. We said on the banner it was limited. We don't want to do this collaboration again. And there is also the really big problem that JP is not healthy right now. For anybody who's curious and starting JP, spending money on the JP side is basically the worst decision I think you can make in terms of a lot of gacha games out there. Yes, Global does probably support it, and I would imagine that China, with the Chinese version, will probably support Brave Exvius for a bit. I don't know how popular Final Fantasy is in China, or whether Brave Exvius is really the game to set the Chinese market on fire. But either way, when it comes to like looking at Brave Exvius' future, especially on the JP side, with an incredibly shrinking player base and pushing a trying to push a lot of people towards their new game, War of the Visions, I would assume that Brave Exvius on the JP side will mostly die out and go into incredibly low zombie state, where there are just not that many players. There really aren't. I mean, the people who are still playing are the people who are just in that state of being, well, I've invested this much time and this much money and I'm not leaving the game. JP has had, a lot of problems of delaying Dark Visions out, a mode that was literally copied and pasted, it seemed like, from Brave Frontier, and now is just pushed back. Again, why? Maybe they needed a 4th anniversary hype? But again, whale mode, which is basically what that mode feels like, is probably not going to, again, reinvigorate a lot of JP players to come back to the game. If it wasn't, if it wasn't last month for the massive contest of giving away a lot of prizes, there probably would have been a considerable less amount of people playing the game. There have been a lot of time grindy events. The Dragon Quest event was also incredibly grindy for stamina and trying to get everything out of it, even if it does last for 20 days. Doing the same thing for 20 days potentially is really repetitive and incredibly boring. I would imagine so. That is just it. So, but if you combine the idea of just incredibly expensive banners as well as not great rates, even, they advertise these 5% rainbow rates and they're not even remotely close to being the accurate situation that is there. And RNG be damned, I don't care in the comments if you say, well, I always get 2 rainbows within 2 tickets. Good for you. I don't think anybody else feels quite that good about it, but yeah. Brave Exvius is, on the JP side, probably is nearing the end of its life, and the 4th anniversary will be really make or break for whether the remaining players just leave. It is not a game that is in a healthy state. It is definitely pushing all of its players to spend a lot, and a lot of the characters aren't super relevant anymore because it's just DPS, and there's no reason to make any limited DPS that is not a best DPS better than all the other stuff. So best DPSs are still number 1 for any type, or fast healers, or anything that Alum decides to put out. Best will always be better, and on the JP side, all these characters are just into making people spend as much money as they can squeeze out of every single player. So again, this is also a video of being like, please do not spend on this game. It is not worth it at this point. At least in my humble opinion, and you can take that for whatever it's worth. Because I do think that, the Dragon Quest 11 banner at basically being $1,000, $900, which you could buy two Nintendo Switches for that price. You could buy 2 Nintendo Switches as well as the brand new game Astral Chain, which this channel is not sponsored by even a little bit, but free promo for them because it's an actually absolutely awesome game. Or you could buy Dragon Quest 11 when it comes out later this month. You could buy a lot of stuff that with all the money that you could potentially spend on a single Dragon Quest banner, and you have that freedom. And in the end, at some point, you really got to ask yourself when the sunk fallacy has been met. The sunk fallacy cost of just being, or is it the sunk cost fallacy? I'm getting my words mixed up. Of just being like, well, it's that idea of, well, I spent this much money, so I'm just going to keep spending money. And at some point, the game will shut down, the servers will shut down, and you will be left with basically nothing. And I get it. It was fun for a while, but sometimes you just got to pull back, pull out, get the hell out of there. So, yeah, that's kind of it. And when talking about global in all of this, global players, you may be thinking you're quite comfy because of Gummy's incredibly wonderful monochrome of global is a different game. Global is a different game. Yeah, it is different, but keep in mind that these companies are specifically just trying to maximize profits as much as they can. So maybe it won't be Summonfest, maybe it'll be something different, but you know that they will find ways to do the exact same thing that they are doing on the JP side to their players as they will to global players. And that is a promise. Like, it is not a thing, whether of how much it comes to at any point, whether global just decides to be, big power creep in different categories of constantly pushing people in that direction, or whether they decide to just go for the summon fest anyway and say, to hell with the players. We have War of the Visions coming out. We know that we can make money off that game. Oh, which, by the way, I will not be spending a dime on War of the Visions. Suck it. Yeah, I just think that global players should not be sitting so comfy. If you're a free-to-player, obviously it doesn't really affect you that much, although into the future, you'll have to kind of come to terms with the fact that you are probably not going to get a lot out of the game if you are not spending money anymore. And to some extent, there will be a unit that comes along that you want, because also Alum and Gummy are really good about re-releasing the exact same units again. They've done it with CG characters. Next year is probably just going to be CG villains, and people are going to have the exact same kind of effect again. Wow, I know I have Sephiroth, and I already have Kingdom Hearts Sephiroth, but that's CG Sephiroth. This one will be the last one I spend money. Oh, wait, Sephiroth with a new hat. Malibu Stacy has a new hat. And to some extent, yeah. That's the way these games are, but I don't know. Just be careful, JP players, and be careful, global players. To some point, it is not worth investing any more money, and it is not worth investing any more time. This is coming into the season of video games where there are a mass amount of video games coming out, and there's a lot of new stuff, and a lot of the new gachas are doing a lot to improve their game over time. I would just like to put out there that in Epic 7 as well as Dragalia Lost, within their first year, they did more for their player base, whether or not they started in a rough state or not. Both Epic 7 and Dragalia Lost, and these are just two examples I'm thinking of because I play these games actively, have done a lot to improve the general player experience, bending over backwards, putting literally in Epic 7, while it's not the most friendly thing in the world, there is a pity banner on every single summon. You only need really one copy. Anybody who wants multiple copies of the same unit or just looking for imprints, which are really not overly beneficial but are nice kind of thing. And that's just the way the situation is with like Epic 7, is the idea that or Dragalia Lost, is that one copy of a unit, you have the full unit. Brave Exvius, you don't. 7-star is by all means a bad thing for the rates in this game, and they are not what they are advertised. So pick on Epic 7 as much as you want for like the 1%, but they did at least put a pity in so that, free-to-players can just save up resources, which is a reasonable strategy in the game. You may not get every 5-star character, but you will get the 5-star character you want if you just save for it. Plus, there's a lot of strategies that work in that game, too. So overall, this has been a lot of talking about this kind of stuff, and it's just kind of a little bit cathartic while I wait for my Kingdom Hearts 3 trailer to drop. So, hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know your thoughts about the Dragon Quest XI. Do you think Global will escape the scathing future that is the best unit? Or is Global doomed, and will Global players be taken for a ride? I don't know. I'm willing to bet very strongly that Gummy, maybe it won't come in the way of Summon Fest, but there's definitely going to be something that's going to fleece as much money as global players as possible. Gummy likes money, and Alum is just crap. Anyway, thanks for watching. See you next time.